What does it mean to be haunted? Where is the locus of control when one is haunted? When a place is haunted? Emily Dickinson delves into this mystery in this poem. In fact, Emily Dickinson, in some ways, condemns her readers to a certain fate in this poem. This is probably the third, fourth, maybe fifth video I've done on this channel on this poem, and something struck me differently with this read through and made me think of this novel from Shirley Jackson, The Haunting or The Haunting of Hill House, depending on how it is that you want to talk about it. And it really opened my eyes to something about this poem, which is probably the most horrifying part, which is probably the worst part, which is probably the part that is least likely to sort of jump out at you, I think. The poem itself, "One Need Not Be a Chamber to be Haunted," reads as such. One need not be a chamber to be haunted. One need not be a house. The brain has corridors surpassing material place, far safer of a midnight meeting external ghost than an interior confronting that whiter host. Far safer through an abbey gallop, the stones a chase, than moonless one's own self encounter in some lonesome place. Ourself behind ourself concealed should startle most. Assassin hid in our apartment be horror's least. The prudent carries a revolver, he bolts the door, overlooking a superior spectre more near. Now, the obvious sort of takeaway from this is that the external might be scary. The external might be horrific. The external might be terrifying, but really the bad part is you. There may be some deviant out there out to get you, but you can always trick or fool or get one over on that deviant. You could go to the police and report that deviant. Whatever it is that's going on, you could win that battle. You could. Maybe you won't, but you could. That's scary. That's terrifying. There are real circumstances at play. There are real downsides to those battles, but you could. What Emily Dickinson is telling us here is that these ghosts from within, one need not be a chamber to be haunted. You can be haunted because the brain has more corridors than any house, any chamber ever will. And it's pretty bad to stumble upon yourself in one of those rooms because some external foe may be able to get under your skin, may be able to really turn you around. But no one knows all the bad things you've done, except for you. No one knows all the times you've failed, except for you. No one knows all the stuff you want, except for you. So, if the you in question is hungering for a haunting, oh, you'll get it. But there's something, so that's sort of the surface level of this poem, right? That, yeah, it's bad out there. There's ghosts to be sure. There's ghosts to be had. There are spirits and specters bumping about, and you don't want to be in their way. But those spirits and specters inside your own head are far worse than anything that you'll face anywhere else from the external. But I want to read you something. The Haunting by Shirley Jackson, one of the most underrated novelists, one of the most underrated short story writers. The opening paragraph from this novel is absolutely legendary. No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Even larks and katydids are supposed by some to dream. Hill House, not sane, stood by itself against its hills, holding darkness within. It had stood so for 80 years and might stand for 80 more. Within, walls continued upright, bricks met neatly, floors were firm, and doors were sensibly shut. Silence lay steadily against the wood and stone of Hill House, and whatever walked there walked alone. I thought about this passage during this reading of this poem, and it struck me. It struck me because, look, when you talk about hauntings, when you talk about what it means to be haunted, there are two elements that are immediately at play. There's the self, there's the individual, the person in the horror, and then there's the ghost. These are the obvious things, right? This is where we spend most of our time in this poem, but not all of our time in this poem. Not everything said in this poem is about that duality. There's a third thing mentioned right up front, right in not the title of the poem, but the first line by which we know this poem. One need not be a chamber to be haunted. One need not be a house. Yeah, it's scary to be with a ghost because of the ghost. But there's a reason that haunted house stories are much more popular than, say, haunted woods stories. They're still out there. There's haunted woods stories. But even then, the woods are confined. It's not a haunted world story, it's a haunted woods story. Further, you zone in just a little bit more and you have a haunted house story. Maybe you go so far as to have a haunted room story. Only this master bedroom is haunted. The real scary bit about most ghost stories is not the individual. It's not even the ghost. It's the confinement part of things. It is the chamber itself. Why? Well, I mean, think about it. You have A Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge and that haunting ghost of Christmas future. If Ebenezer Scrooge were walking down the street and saw the ghost of Christmas future chilling at the end of the street, right next to the stop sign, he's just going to turn left. He's not going to be there with the ghost. He's going to do something else, go somewhere else. All of a sudden, the ghost isn't there. That's not a haunted house. All of these ghosts in A Christmas Carol, for example, find Ebenezer Scrooge, and they find him in his chamber, in his bedroom. The scariest part, Emily Dickinson is so brilliantly informing us, to the haunting of ourselves, it's ourselves. It is the chamber in which, if we extend the metaphor from this poem, we are haunted by our own ghosts. We are haunted by all of the things that we want, by all of the things that we've done, by all of our current circumstance. How many times you've been laying in bed and it's 2 hours past when you were supposed to be asleep, and the most embarrassing thing that you said in high school pops in there. The last time that you said something stupid at work pops in your mind. It happens all the time. This is the human condition. The scariest thing is not that memory, is not that ghost creeping around in your head. The scariest thing about that entire situation is the chamber involved. If there's a ghost in your bedroom and it's stuck in your bedroom, you go to the living room, you're done. If there's a ghost in your house and you're stuck in your house, you climb out the window, you're done. If there's a ghost in a giant mansion, you find your way out of the mansion, you're done. If there's a ghost in the woods, you crawl out of the woods, you're done. This haunted chamber that's haunted with you, well, it's you. You're not moving from that one, baby. You're stuck. You're not going next door. Not from your head. You're not moving across town to get away from you. You're dragging your own sad sack with you. The scariest part about this poem and being haunted by yourself is the fact that you will always have you there. You're stuck in that haunted house. You're not going anywhere. That's all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature's the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There is poetry every Monday, but also I'm reading through Ernest Hemingway short stories, making a video by video with each short story. Just finished up Dubliners by James Joyce. We're going through Carrie by Stephen King right now, and there is probably a couple other Stephen King series to be finished up. I'm not sure. I'm getting there. We're getting there. But that's all I have for this video, and I hope to have you back for the next one.